Hi everybody, it's Lisa from Kitchen Chemistry. Tonight we are making homemade marshmallows. It's hot cocoa season right now, and nothing tastes better than a nice hot cup of cocoa and a homemade marshmallow. You can't really compare it with the store-bought ones that you get. Very, very easy. The only ingredient that might sound a little unfamiliar to you would be unflavored gelatin. And that you're going to get in the Jell-O section of your supermarket. It comes in an orange box. It's called Knox, K-N-O-X, and it looks granular like this. It's kind of just looks like sugar. It's light as air, and it's going to make the marshmallow have the structure that it needs. So I've added my marshmallow here, which is 3 packets, or about 8 teaspoons of that. And I'm going to add a half a cup of water to that right now. Okay? Make sure that's it. Yes. Okay? So when I first do that, it's just going to look nothing too impressive. But as we're working with the other ingredients, this is going to absorb like a big sponge. And you're going to see in a little bit that it's going to be completely sucked up with all that water, and then we're going to melt that down. So it's kind of fun to watch. So that's that. Alright, Jell-O, that's what's made out of unflavored gelatin. So if you get yourself a box of unflavored gelatin, you could add food color and flavors, and you can create whatever you want. You can trick your whole family by making lime Jell-O and coloring it red. Good April Fool's joke. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get a nice heavy-duty pot. We're going to take 1½ cups of regular granulated sugar, the other cup of water, and a cup of corn syrup. Corn syrup is usually found where the pancake syrups are. Alright? So that's pretty much it. We're going to let this cook for a while. Alright? Because we want to bring this up to a temperature of 240 degrees. And that's what's going to give us the marshmallow texture. It's called the soft ball stage for anybody who's ever made candy before. Alright, now I want to encourage you to ask questions, because this is the time you have me live to answer any questions you have about candy making. While this is cooking, I want to talk about the difference in temperatures of candy. Basically, anything from syrup all the way up to a hard candy, caramelized candy, is just the same ingredients. It's sugar and water. It's just a matter of how hot you cook that syrup to make it the candy that it is. Okay? So, pancake syrup, you're only going to cook it to less than 200 degrees. Soft ball stage, which is this, is going to be marshmallows, soft caramels, and then you're going to get into your lollipops and brittles and things like that. So if you mess up and you cook your syrup too much, you're going to get just a different candy. If you don't cook it enough, you're going to get a syrupy version of whatever you're making. So today, we're making marshmallows. If you don't cook your syrup hot enough, you're going to end up with ice cream syrup, marshmallow syrup to pour on your ice cream, okay? Or you can make some messy fluffernutter sandwiches.
Yeah.
Alright. Alright. So, this is going to take a few minutes. It's probably going to take about 5 or 6 minutes for it to get really hot. So we have plenty of time to ask questions. To rush it up a little bit, what I'm going to do is put a pan on top of that. And I can only leave this on here for a little while until like the sugar all melts, and then I'll take that off. But right now we can leave that on there.
A lid's good too, right?
A lid's good. A lid works as well. Okay. Now, while that's cooking, I'm going to prepare my pan where I'm going to put my marshmallows in. So I like to line the pan with plastic wrap first. It's not mandatory, but you know what? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And marshmallow is very sticky. So you don't want to pour your marshmallow in here and then find out that you can't get it out of the pan because you missed the spot with the grease on the bottom. Alright? So I'm going to take some Pam and I'm going to spray the whole pan, getting all the nooks and crannies. Alright? Then I'm going to take a mixture of 50% cornstarch and 50% powdered sugar. I'm going to throw that in there, and I'm going to just spread it around nice and evenly Let it get up the sides a little bit. This is really what's going to prevent the marshmallow from sticking. But the plastic wrap works really great as a second precaution. Alright, you can use, if the powdered sugar sounds too, if you want to just use all powdered sugar, you can. If you use all cornstarch, that's going to not have a flavorful coating on the outside. So I recommend at least 50% of each, or all powdered sugar. Okay? Now, can you make peeps and things like that? You absolutely can. What you do is you put the marshmallow syrup in a pastry bag, and then you can write and you can pipe out whatever you would like to do that way as well. And it really works if you pipe it right into the colored sugar if you want to make those little peeps. Right. So we'll set that to the side. And I just realized I forgot to add a little bit of salt, so I'm going to just throw a little bit of salt, about 1/4 teaspoon of salt in there.
Oh, look at that.
And I see it's boiling, so I'm going to take a spatula, stir it up to get the salt evenly dispersed, and to take the temperature now. It's plain old sugar. Right now it's just about, all it is simple syrup at this point. The temperature is about 200 degrees. And I'm going to stir it a little bit. I don't want to stir it too much, because if I get a lot of the sugar syrup up the sides are going to get so much hotter, it's going to crystallize the sugar. And then you're going to have hard chunks throughout your mixture. So you don't want to do that. The temperature, the thermometer that I'm using is the thermal thermometer. So I'm always a little bit nervous with this, because this only is a surface thermometer. So you really have to stir it and then take its temperature real quick. Okay, and it drops quite a few degrees. Candy thermometers work great for this. Can't use a regular thermometer that you would take your kid's temperature with, and you really can't use a thermometer that only goes up to 220 degrees, because we're going to make this go to 240 degrees. So that thermometer will be worthless. Back in the olden days, our grandmas used to use the glass of ice water and drop the sugar into the glass of ice water, and then it will instantly turn into candy texture that you're looking for. So they would drop it in there. If it just dispersed, that means it's still syrup. It's not good enough, because they didn't have thermometers and stuff back then. They couldn't afford it, and if they did, the kids broke it or something else anyway. So then you would drop it in again, wait a few minutes, drop it in again, and then you will see that a little ball will form, but it will kind of like break as soon as you pick it out of the water. That's getting to the soft ball stage. Once you can play around with it in your hands, but you take the ball and it kind of like melts over your fingers, that's the soft ball stage. If it's hard, like if it holds its shape but it's still soft, like a jelly bean, that's the hard ball stage. And then you go into the hard crack, which is lollipops. Now, even though we're boiling this water, the sugar water, for 5 minutes or so, don't say, oh, let me go throw a load of laundry in or something like that and walk away, because it might take 5 minutes to get to 230. It's going to take seconds to get to the next couple of degrees. So you don't want to make the mistake of walking away from this because you got a little bored or whatever, and then come back and you have your kitchen in flames or something. You want to make sure that you stay here and watch what's going on. Okay, so let me show you the gelatin. Here it is. Look at that. So it's sucked in. It looks kind of like applesauce right now. It's sucked in all of that water. And if I would leave it here for another 20 minutes or so, it would literally just look like, you know what it would look like? I hate to say it, when a diaper explodes. That's what it would look like. That gelatin type stuff that's inside the baby's diaper. That's what it would look like. So what I'm going to do, just to get a little head start here, is I'm going to take the gelatin and I'm going to pop it in the microwave to warm it up for about 30 seconds to melt it. For those of you who make your own homemade whipped cream, gelatin is a great whipped cream stabilizer, but it's really important to melt it in the microwave first and very slowly add it to your whipped cream, because if you throw it all in one shot, what's going to happen is you're going to have granular gelatin in your whipped cream. Just a little extra tidbit of information there.
So what temperature is this at?
So right now the temperature is at about 227. So we're getting there. Gotta stir it up. And we're going to use a KitchenAid to whip this into shape here. And it works great to use the whisk blade on your KitchenAid. If you don't have a KitchenAid, you could use a hand blender. I mean a hand mixer. But you know, it does take a long time, so have that handy right away. So while this is cooking, I'll tell you one more thing. You want to have everything prepared. We prepared our pan. If I wanted to, okay, I can throw a nice thick layer of coconut in here. Alright, I still would spray it with Pam, but I would put some coconut or toasted coconut. Then when I pour my marshmallow mix in here, then I would throw coconut over it again, and then you get those delicious toasted coconut marshmallows that only come around Easter time or around Passover or Hanukkah, which is now. So, if you love those like me, I can't even buy those suckers because I'll eat the whole bag myself. But when you make it homemade, oh my goodness, I can't even tell you how good that is. Another thing you can do is once you pour the marshmallow in your pan, it's going to be set and you're going to have to leave it for about 4 hours. So you have to have patience. But you can use cookie cutters. Dust the cookie cutters with the cornstarch or the powdered sugar or spray with Pam. And then you can cut out shapes in your marshmallows too. So that's another fun way to do. You can cut out snowflakes right now and then dip them in chocolate. Sprinkle a little bit of crystal sugar on top or whatever, and then throw one of those in a hot cocoa on a snow day. Kids are going to remember that for life. It's going to be really a good thing. Let's see, we're getting there. Okay, so it looks like we're right about the right temperature. And I can tell almost, because if you can look, it's kind of like bubbling up. It's starting to say, whoa, I'm about ready now. So, I'm going to take my gelatin. Actually, I'm going to take my bowl. I'm going to pour this in here. Alright, you can kind of tell, it's like if you look at my bowl here, you can see it's starting to get like stretchy. See that? All those little strings? Because that's, as soon as it hits the air and it starts to cool down, it starts to firm up. So, it's kind of like spider webs. And then I'm going to add my gelatin. Like my gelatin.
In the microwave?
Right where I put it. Alright. So here we go. I'm going to add the gelatin. Look at it foaming up. And now I'm going to throw this in the KitchenAid. The gelatin's mixing up with the sugar. Whoops. It's hot. It is hot, guys. Remember, it's 240 degrees. So it's not child's play right now. I'm going to throw this in the KitchenAid with the mixer, with the beating plate. So I cheated a little bit, and I already made a batch for you. I'll do that later. So now you have your marshmallow fluff. It's going to take about 8 minutes or so. You're wanting to get the marshmallow is going to be warm, okay, and it's going to be beat, and it's going to look just like this. It's like, oh my goodness, just imagine. Look at that. Holy Toledo. So now you want to get this into your mold. Big, very important hint here. You got to spray your spatula with Pam. Very important. Alright, because marshmallow, as anyone who ate marshmallow knows, is very sticky. Sticky. Okay. And now I'm going to pour this in here. You can see those big stretchy strings again. This recipe fills up about, I would say, if you want flatter marshmallows, then it's going to fill up a 10-inch by 10-inch pan. If you want to have nice, big, thick, impressive marshmallows, then you do an 8-inch pan. Okay? I went with the 10-inch. And then we're going to take the mixture, the corn syrup and the cornstarch, excuse me, and the powdered sugar. Cover it all up. Any questions out there, guys? Anybody out there in La La Land? That's a movie right now, by the way. Can't wait to see.
We had someone earlier in the broadcast say that they've tried this before but failed.
Okay. One of the biggest mistakes that happens when you're making this marshmallow at home is the not getting the sugar at the right temperature. That's usually what happens with a fail. But if you give me a specific description, for whoever wrote in, I'll be more than happy to tell you what happened. Okay? So then we're going to let this set for about 4 hours. Okay? And when it's done, just like a TV show, isn't that fun? How it just magically appears like that? Then you're going to get this. And you got to work it out slowly. Can't just rip it. Sometimes you're lucky enough to be able to rip it out, but that's not really always the case. Alright? So now I have a beautiful mat of marshmallow! How gorgeous is that? So now, I'm going to take a scissor. Okay? And I could make the mistake. I'll just show you what I'm talking about. I'm cutting it. Okay? If it wasn't done for 4 hours, you wouldn't be able to cut it like this. It would just stick all over your scissor. And then I can cut it into normal squares. And then I'm going to drop it back into that into the powdered sugar. Okay? This makes a gorgeous gift. Now, Valentine's Day is a couple of weeks away. You can make these and then dip half the marshmallow in pink chocolate or half the marshmallow in red chocolate and make a nice little bag. Make a big pile. Billowing piles of marshmallow. Look at that. With a nice little bow. You make great teacher gifts. You know, you might want to give them a pack of hot cocoa mix too. Really, really fun and easy. Okay. And this is the stage 2. Whoops. Very sticky. Where you could use cookie cutters as well. Okay. So, that's it. That's as easy as it is. I posted the recipe underneath the announcement of this, and I also attempted to post it under notes. If it's not there yet, I will play with it a little bit later on. And ask me anytime, any questions. I'll be happy to answer your questions. And that's it. Thanks for joining us, and have a great day.
All right.
Okay.